Welcome, everyone. I'm so pleased to see you all here today. My name is Gloria Lybecker, and tonight we are going to get to have a real special treat. We've got a special guest speaker, and we're also going to dive into a new video that we haven't covered before. One of the things I love about ASEA Redox are the products, but the products are just the tip of the iceberg. What I love even more is the community that believes in each other, includes everybody, and supports each person to be successful where they're looking to grow themselves. So with that, I'd like to share this screen. Give me just a second here, and whoops, enter my password. So 1 second. And we will get started. Redox chemistry is a critical factor in allowing nutrients to get into the cell. And when you provide your body with a ready resource of micronutrients, like what you find in the ASEA Via line, plus the redox signaling molecules in ASEA Redox, you create an environment where the most potent bioavailable nutrients can get down to the cellular level and nourish you. So let's go here and see the new video.
We all have a purpose, a reason to take care of our health so that we can thrive. For some, it might be about spending time with the people we love. For others, it might be about reaching a new personal best. And for some, a purpose is about staying as young and as vibrant as long as possible.
In our modern world, millions of people are dealing with health conditions, and it can be really tough to know what to do to ensure that we stay healthy and strong. Long-term health is dependent on proper nutrition. But even the best diets may not be giving your body everything it needs to stay healthy. Supplements are a great way to fill in the gaps to ensure your body's getting everything it needs. A daily health supplement like those ASEA Via offers is a good start down the pathway for better overall wellness.
ASEA Via, in my opinion, stands above any nutritional supplements that I know of.
The research shows that we need more micronutrients than are present in most of our food sources.
So even when we do organic and we do real food, not the fake food that's in boxes and cans, but real food has a lot less nutrients than they had 30, 50 years ago.
The ASEA Via line are the most brilliantly constructed, conscious nutrient formulas I've ever used in 33 years in practice.
When your diet just isn't cutting it, Via Source can help fill in those nutrient gaps. Via Source is a whole food micronutrient complex that's different than other supplements because it contains whole food nutrition to help your body thrive. With Via Life Max, you have an active lifestyle and vitality formula that helps keep you strong as you age, and it has antioxidants. Antioxidants are important to keep your cells healthy and to prevent them from damage. Via Biome, it's an expertly formulated probiotic. It's made up of 16 different strains of probiotics and prebiotics, which makes it a vital aid to nourishing your gut health. Gut health is so important because it's really the hub of your body. It's important for your immune system, it's important for brain health, as well as your digestive system. Boosting your omega-3 fatty acids as part of a proactive plan can help reduce your risk of heart disease and high blood pressure. Via Omega can help keep those risk factors in check.
You know, the way I think about the Via line is not unlike a piano. I mean, I can play an individual key on an 88-key piano on any day, but it's chords, it's the combination of different things and supplements that actually make the sound come out and resonate. resonate, it creates the melody. I think we're very similar. Our body's ability to interpret what we introduce into it, whether that be good or bad, is way more delicate and way more sophisticated than I think we give credit for. And so the idea of introducing the right combinations of the right nutrients and nutrition married with a signaling uplift by virtue of our ASEA redox supplement, it's the coupling of those things that I think starts to play chords in the body that respond very differently to the needs of each person.
Our goal as an organization was to provide the highest quality nutritional products to the marketplace, but give consumers a choice to choose products that are designed specifically to help address health at the cellular level.
If you're fortunate enough to have good health now in your life, do yourself a favor and talk to somebody who doesn't have good health. And that will give you an appreciation and hopefully motivation for taking care of yourself today.
ASEA Via is what its name suggests, the pathway that may help support complete long-term wellness. Take control of your health and live your purpose.
And now I'll turn it over to you, Darleen.
Okay. We want to welcome Beth Watson tonight. She's been working in the cosmetology industry for the past 39 years, helping people improve their self-image, confidence, and realizing their true inner beauty. She loves the challenge of meeting new people and making new friends. According to Beth, there are no strangers, just friends that she hasn't met yet. She's very accepting of others and doesn't want to have anyone feel left out. And she makes every effort to include them. The more the merrier is a recurring theme you'll hear from Beth. Once you come into contact with Beth, you'll see and feel her contagious enthusiasm, but most of all, Beth values honesty, integrity, and that is what attracted her to this ASEA community and the ASEA company itself. Please join me in welcoming Beth Watson as she shares her brief testimony on what positive impact ASEA and Redox 28 has had on her well-being.
Well, thank you so much, Darleen, for that introduction. I am pleased to be with you guys tonight and just to share a little bit about my career and what Redox has done for me, how I was introduced to it. One of the things that I loved, I will first say about going into cosmetology is that I do love people and I love bringing out the best look that they naturally have that Jesus gave them. And with that, you come across people that have curly hair maybe that they don't care for. And it's, you know, it's a pleasure for me to be able to help them know how to take care of that with the right products to use. And perhaps maybe they have straight hair and they don't really care for it. But I always like to go with what Jesus gave them and show them that, you know, these are actually like positive points that you have when maybe they are looking at them, you know, that they aren't. So one of the things that is parallels what Darleen introduced me to was a communication that Redox has with your body and how the healing takes place and how there's that connection, just like as if I have my customer in my chair and I'm connecting with them and showing them the best, you know, for their look. And so Darleen knew that I was having knee surgery. And so her and Gloria were discussing that, and she called me up and she goes, Beth, I really think that we have something here that's going to help you heal. And Doug and I were actually on our way to Boise, you know, for the surgery at the time. And so after the surgery, came home, Darleen, we connected and she brought me over the ASEA. and I sprayed it on my leg, and because at that time it was too tender to actually put the gel on it. And so I sprayed it probably every hour that I would spray it did the 3 and 5. So 3 times in 5 minutes, and then I let it dry and would do my icing and things like that. And so I feel that it made an amazing difference in my recovery. And I had also learned that if you take the Renew 28 and put it behind your ear and down your carotid arteries and across the back of your neck, that it will actually make a huge difference in the discomfort that I was feeling in my leg. So that's what I did. And it, night after night, you know, if my pain medicines that I had subsided, I would do that, and I would just nestle my head back into the covers, and I was soon like fast asleep. It was amazing. I was like, oh my goodness, this stuff works so good. So I just feel like that it made a huge difference in that. And I love sharing those results with people. And, you know, you hear things that people are having challenges with. And I just totally think to myself, you know, I want them to have redox in their body, and it's going to make a difference, a transformation in their life.
Would you like me to share your pictures, Beth? So you can.
Yes.
Okay. And you can tell us about your pictures.
Okay.
Here we are.
So the first one on the left here, that was like about I think that was the second week after my surgery. So I had just taken off the bandages and was able to leave them off. The second picture was probably about 4 weeks approximately. And that's what I was so excited about, because you could just see everything pulling together and the scabs were starting to come off. And at that point, I think I was still just spraying it every hour. And then after that, I started putting it on the Renew 28. And then also I put on the moisturizer, like the third picture right here. I put on the facial moisturizer, and I was out in the sun that day, and I was like going, oh, I can't believe the difference this is making. So I just am excited about it. Want to share it with everybody. And I just thank you for letting me share my testimony on this amazing product that we have.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and being willing to share these pictures. They're just incredible. Yeah.
Oh, that so is it total knee?
Yes, total knee.
How's the new one working?
Pretty good. I'm back to work now, and so it can puff up on me a little bit and be a little bit hard to bend, but I come home, ice it, elevate it, put more Renew on, drink my Renew, and put the gel on.
Are you better than before you had the surgery?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Then it was a good choice.
Yeah. I think though that if I had known about this, you know, prior, I would have definitely done the 90 days, you know, just to see. I mean, that's my recommendation I have some clients that have bad knees also. And I shared this with a lady the other day, and I just said, you know, this would be amazing for you to try for 90 days. I told her about the fella that had, was it Willard Friedman, that had the hip, that he was going to have his surgery redone. And, you know, that's quite a testimony.
Yeah, he was a professional baseball player too.
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, I love this group. The enthusiasm, the difference you're making. and it's going to take over. It looks to me like, though, you have to have sort of light hair to play in this group, and I don't know if that's true or not, but
This is Jerry White, our infamous leader and guide for this journey.
and where do you live, Beth? Are you the one from Walla Walla?
Yeah, we're from Walla Walla. Yeah.
Well, I remember. Here we go. I'm gonna have to come and visit y'all. And Darlene, you are from like a little tiny town somewhere over by Springdale?
No, I'm just right by Walla Walla, Waitsburg.
Waitsburg.
Gloria used to live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They grow good people there. I think we ought to get some more.
And Beth and I have been friends forever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good way to do it. We're finding more and more that you become the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. So avoid some people. I heard once that there's only 6 or 8. I think Jim Rohn said this. There's only 6 or 8 really evil, mean, nasty people in the world, but they get around a lot, so you're likely to run into them once in a while.
Absolutely.
So Beth, that was a fabulous testimony, and thank you for sharing your story and your journey.
Yes. Thank you for sharing with me.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. So am I gonna buy you guys lunch at the national convention?
You bet.
Y'all gonna be there?
I'm going to be there. They're going to be virtual this year.
We have to be virtual. I've got a wedding coming up, so I'll be busy with
Yeah. We've had those too. But
I'm looking forward to the next one, though.
Yes. Beth
Well,
and I are together. And Doug.
you know the old saying, we'll leave the light on for you.
Okay.
So Jerry, should we segue into you? Can I introduce you and then you can take off? Does that sound good? Okay.
Bring it.
So as we know, this is Jerry White, and he has an extensive clinical background as a physical therapist, as well as a background in research. He founded Gait Orthopedic and Neurological Lab at Shriners Hospital and was an adjunct professor of biomechanics and physiology at Eastern Washington University Physical Therapy School. Jerry's personal vision and passion make his partnership with ASEA powerful. Jerry also serves on our ASEA medical board. And take it away, Jerry.
Okay, so I got to have music for that. Well, we've got a very special group of people here that are really, y'all are the seeds in the ground. And do you know what seeds do? You ever hear the old story that says you can count the seeds in the apple, but you can't count the apples in the seed. So that seed will make a tree, and the tree will make thousands of apples, and those thousands of apples will make more apples. And so that's the whole idea, that this particular group, it's got such a good feeling to it about the humanity of what we're doing. I just came from a big event in Dallas, and it was a gathering of alternative healthcare providers. And there was a real sense, this is the first time since COVID that we've gotten together, where 3 different ones were canceled over the course of the years. And I've never felt such a strong bond between the few people. There was about 100 of them there. But we all now are figuring out that there's much more than what we've been offering in healthcare. Here's an interesting statistic for you. 80% of all of America's healthcare dollars are spent on degenerative lifestyle and environmental problems. 80%. 10% are spent on mental illness, leaving 10% for infective illness. So if we spent that much on one infectious disease in the last 3 years, how much do you suppose is going into the rest of the system? And here's the big aha. That 80%, 95% of that 80% are preventable. So degenerative disease and the diseases of aging and all of those put together are literally preventable. And if that's true, the size of our market is so far beyond your wildest imagination and so necessary at a time like this. I just got off the phone from one of your people in your group in Spokane, Elaine, and she had 2 families there. And one of them was a man who had a surgery on his back because his legs started to go numb from, just woke up one morning that way. They did the surgery. They found some goofy looking thing that was growing in his back. And after that, they closed him back up and he couldn't use his foot. And he started walking with having to lift his foot up. And the other guy there was there because after he had COVID and then got pneumonia, anytime he takes a little bit of a breath, he starts coughing so bad, he's going to cough his lungs up, he feels like. And in both cases, we were able to assist the body to figure out a workaround in a very short period of time. And like Beth, she's discovered that you could use the Renew 28 along here, and it has an effect down there. And we call that the toe bones connected to the ear bone. It just makes logical sense completely. And what we know now, and as I'm actually doing a presentation at the national conference, just finished up my slides for today, which is weird for me to be done that early. But I was describing, as a physical therapist, this is the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. Because the many aspects that we talk about in ASEA are really just hints and reminders of how the cells used to work when you were very young, even back into the embryo, really regrowing things we didn't even know you could regrow. But there's this really, really interesting part about the communication of life with life. Fascinating. About 8 years ago, there's a guy who's an ASEA guy, actually, who was also a triple boarded physician, and he was doing most of the research, huge amounts of it on cancer. He was only about 35 years old. His name is Zach Bush. Has anybody ever heard of him? Zach Bush was doing some very interesting discoveries. Like, for example, he found out that anybody ever hear of Cancer Alley? It's a place in America has more cancer than anywhere else, by far. And he started tracing it back and found that it was at the end of the drainage of the Mississippi River down in the Gulf states. Why would this group have so much more cancer than anybody else? And then began to start looking into how the farming practices were. And he's the one that discovered that Roundup, or glyphosate, was causing tremendous amounts of cancer. The one that they finally used his material in court to convict the company Monsanto, and they paid literally, I think it was on the order of $1 billion to one person, because he had been using Roundup and over time, and he ended up with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and eventually was going to die from it. But he kind of proved that it was the causative agent. You see it on TV. You see all these things where they're saying, well, if you had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, then join this lawsuit. That's all part of this multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. And here's the interesting part, because Zach Bush, because he was a part of ASEA, began to realize that what was happening when you took that glyphosate into your body, however you got it, it started to mess with the bacteria in your gut. And the communication between the bacteria in your gut, there's this guy named God, and he's like smarter than the rest of us. And it turns out that, interestingly, the bacteria and viruses, or bacteria and mold and fungi that are in your gut, you started seeing the Activia commercials, right? And they said, oh, you got to have probiotics, which just means different types of bacteria to go back into your digestive tract, especially if you're eating foods that have antibiotics in them, because you're killing off your good, friendly bacteria. Well, here's the exciting part. I'm going to wrap this into something that makes sense for what we're talking about today. It turned out that with redox signaling, that's the thing we're providing back when you take ASEA, the cells in your body have only so much DNA, so they can only manufacture a certain number of things. But we thought at first there were about 15 varieties of bacteria in the gut that assisted in digestion and all kinds of properties in the gut. Well, Zach began to start to do some studies on the DNA and found there were 35,000 different varieties of bacteria in the gut. And why is that interesting? Because when they're there, they can manufacture things. They loan their DNA to manufacture things we need. And one of those, by God's design, he knew that 2,000 years after Christ, we'd come up with something stupid that we'd start giving to plants that would go into people, and it would ruin your tight junctions in your gut. So he says, since these guys are going to go nuts and do stupid stuff, there's a bacteria in there, and one of its major functions is to receive information and make the antidote for the glyphosates that cause that problem. And it opened up this window to understand that all of those bacteria are making things for us. But the only way they know to make something for us is to have a request sent to them. Guess what the language of the requests is made in? Redox signaling. It's how cells talk to each other. And it's how those cells then internally talk to themselves as they go making the things that will work to get you out of trouble. This science is so big, you can't even begin to understand how big it is. So taking that a bit further, you all are looking at this through computers. And these computers are remarkable things. And computers are going to do even more things for more return over the next few years. Wouldn't you all agree? Or do you all think that computers will not make any more money and there'll be no more advances in computers? Pretty good guess? That's what the head of IBM said when personal computers came out. Said, I can see exactly 7 households that would need one of those things. We're not building them. And somebody else said, everything that could ever be built for computers has already been built. And they were the head of a major corporation. We're saying, doesn't seem to us that way. But here's the key secret. Computers use a language called binary code. Anybody know what binary means? It means two of something, right? And that binary code has 2 letters in it. How many letters in our alphabet? 26, right? All this stuff we're doing with computers have 2 letters, a 1 and a 0. A 1 and a 0. Just repeated in different sequences over and over again are making everything happen in all of computers everywhere. Isn't that crazy? But the biology of life and God's creation, the reducers and oxidizers that we call redox, that come off of the process of breathing and burning fats and sugars that every cell must do, single cells, plant cells, animal cells, people cells, you must burn those sugars and fats to make energy. If not, you're dead in 3 minutes. Guess what? There are 8 different binary pairs, reducers and oxidizers. Instead of it's a 1 and a 2 or 0, or 1 and a 0, let's say it's a 2 and a 3. And then there's another different one, it's a 4 and a 5. And there's another different one that's a 6 and a 7. Languages capable of doing all the things that computers do, but there's 8 different ones that overlap and talk to each other. That is the language of the cells talking to each other, with each other, for each other, and talking to other cells in the environment. And you have the only product in the world that is yet to be able to work in that industry. So what we have from a product side is literally astounding. It will butter your toast. It'll flip off your shoes and floss between your toes. It'll put happy in your breakfast cereal. It'll do everything you could possibly ever imagine by allowing those magical cells to do trillions of different calculations, corrections, and development correctly. Everything that we ever see in nutrition, including things like proteins and carbohydrates and nutrients and enzymes and probiotics, but also things like essential oils and CBD and all these other are individual external and foreign materials we take in. We call them spare parts and tools. But all the spare parts and tools in the world do nothing more than, it was like Frankenstein before the lightning bolts. You can put them together and they just sit there looking back at you. What ASEA does differently than anything's ever done before, it's the contractor that knows what to do with those spare parts and tools. So as we get ready to take this to the world, the cool thing is you don't have to know anything more than to apply it or drink it. And then we get fancy. Your master's degree comes when you learn how to pour it up one side of your nose and it pours out the other side. Then if you want to get really crazy, you can put it in a spray bottle, spray it in your eyes, maybe over in your ear on an open wound. Nuts. So I thought I'd finish off today by telling you that what you do is incredibly important. But we are now moving from the information age, which caused computers to give us more information than you can handle, and even got off the handle and began to start to make us real or think that human interaction didn't count anymore. But after a while, people are going, that would suck. And so the next major market space is going to be called the experiential marketing. So that we're going to be moving into a time where we're experiencing life together, where we're making a difference together, where we begin to start to train one another that we matter, to share the stories from the heart, to know when you went to bed that you made some good in this world. Can you see how that's a much better force to have us than to have us all begin to get down these tubes that say, you looked at red shoes today, and all we're going to pour back into your only input is more red shoes. And if you have this political mindset that somewhere somebody taught you, or you went to some school, or some experience led to it, we're going to give you more and more and more of that to make you less and less able to see a broader world. And now people are lonely and scared and thinking everybody's the enemy. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring people together. We're going to do cool stuff. And they're going to start looking around and go, whoa, dude, you're not a weirdo or a pervert. And they've been telling me that. So like, I was supposed to hate you, and this has been the best day of my life. And you just watch. You just watch what happens when you can bring people into who you are becoming. As you can gather together and spend some time with a mask off and sharing with each other from your hearts, and realizing that any group of 3 people can change this world in 18 generations. You find 3 who get 3, and they find 3 who get 3. At first, those 3 become 3. Getting 3 would be, this one gets 3, this gets 3, and this gets 3. You spread the word. How many did you just pick up? 3 times 3, which equals 4, right? No, 7, 9. So those 9, that's 2 generations. The first generation was 3. The second is 9. What do you suppose the third generation is going to be? Affected by these people. These people are only affecting 3 each, but they affect 27, because there were 9 people with 3 each. Then it's 81, 256. So in 5 generations, you have 256 new people affected in whatever cause you're sending out. How many do you suppose would be affected after 12 generations? Well, we know one equation says if you got 1 person every month, and those people got 1 person every month, it would go, I'm going to do the 12. I can do it by memory. It goes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. That's pretty big. The next generation would be 128. Then that doubles, it goes to 256. And that doubles again. And in 1 month, you have 512. And then by the 10th month, you have 1,024. In the 11th month, you'd have 2,048. By the 12th month, you have 4,096 people. Sharing a concept, working together. Now I'm going to blow your shoes off. Remember that we go 2, 4, 8, 16. That's 4 generations of that first one. 16. If there's 3 people who get 3 people, it's 3, 9, 27, 81. Which is bigger, 16 or 81? And the whole big difference was just 1 person each. By the time you got to 12 months, let's say, and it took you a month to get 3, and those people got 3, you'd have 531,000 people. In 18 generations, you'd have 1.3 billion people. 18 months from starting for 3, you'd have all of the people in the Western Hemisphere. In 1 more month, you'd have every person on the world times 3. So what we have in our hands is the ability to do astronomical good if we keep our eyes on the prize, make each other feel loved, cared for, and important, and take the wildest technology in the history of mankind and put it in their hands and say, I don't know, rub it on something. Drink it. Maybe breathe it when you make fuzz out of it. No more difficult than that. So we'll finish this off tonight by saying, I want you to raise your right hand. Everybody. Now we're going to pretend we're in Texas, and I'm deputizing all of you to go out and let's make a posse and get her done. As it says in the first book of the Bible. Anybody remember what that one's called? Genesis, right? It says, and we're going to run this whole thing off of scripture. It says, be fruitful and multiply. So go do that. Go out and make a difference just because you can, just out of the goodness of your heart, and haul people in here. Thanks for having me, and thanks for being a part of what we do.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. That was
Yeah.
great.
I'm gonna share my screen one more time, and I want to invite people to join with us tomorrow when we are going to be welcoming Kimberly Burnett. And the focus is going to be I am powered by prayer and redux. It'll be a really fun presentation to come to. And Darleen will also be sharing some information around how redux has been impacting her four-legged family members.
So you got some deformed kids, huh?
I got lots of deformed kids.
Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing.
For as